around their policies and procedures around international standard on quality management. International standard on quality management, ISQM1, came into effectively 15th of December 2022. And since then and now, expect all firms that perform statutory audits and other assurance services to have documented their internal policy in line with the provision of ISQM1. So in this paper, we are going to a practical approach, because what this session is all about is that we want to go a bit practical. We want to go a bit practical because most of our members So, hello, can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All right. So most of our members, what the feedback we are getting on the feed is that they have attended several lectures and seminars, webinars on ISQM1. Just to know how to implement ISQM1 in their firm. So today we are going to move from textbooks, from theory to practical. And in the next few minutes, we are going to consider the ISQM1 requirements and components. We are going to consider how to apply ISQM1 in our various firms. We are going to consider the scalability and the domestication of ISQM1. Then we are going to consider, of course, the examples of how a firm can practically implement ISQM1 and, of course, possible challenges of SMP and the suggested way out. So then thereafter we wrap up. So on that note, by way of introduction, the International Standard on Quality Management introduces the application of a risk-based approach on how to design, how to implement, and how to operate standard of quality management, SQM, in an integrated manner to ensure continuous engagement, continuous quality of engagement undertaken by the firm. What am I saying here is that the ISQM1, the whole idea around ISQM1 is to ensure that anything we carry out in that firm is to guide us to ensure it's of quality type. So the whole idea behind ISQM1 is to ensure quality, right? Quality services is turned out from that firm. The whole idea behind ISQM1 is to ensure that there is adequate structures and structures in place that will make the firm to outlive the owner, a kind of succession planning. The whole idea behind ISQM1 is to ensure that there is no rule of thumb in most of our operation within that firm. is a standard being set by International Audit and Assurance Standard Board. And since 15th of December, like I mentioned, it has been in vogue. It applies to all firms that perform statutory audits or review of financial statements, assurance engagement, and other audit of or review of historical financial, historical financial information. So as we speak now, we have 143 countries where this standard has been globally accepted, not only in Nigeria. So what are the requirements and components? ISQM1. The key requirement of ISQM1 is that, one, establishment of quality objective. Now, we have 8 components under ISQM1. We have the governance and leadership. We have firm risk assessment. We have relevant ethical requirements. We have resources. We have acceptance and continuance of audit engagement. We have monitoring and remediation. We have engagement performances. So information and communication. Now, in each of all these 8 pillars, 8 components of ISQM1, what we are saying is that you need to establish the quality objective. How do I ensure governance and leadership is of quality in this firm? Quality objective. You need to establish quality objective. You need to identify the risks to achieve quality of that same quality objective. Then you need to now design and implement the responses to those risks that you have identified. Now, apart from that, you still need to monitor the process, the progress, and you need to remediate where necessary. And maybe on an annual basis, you need to evaluate. Now, apart from that, apart from establishing the quality objective, identify the risk in each of the 8 pillars, you need to communicate information about how the system of quality management support the consistent performance of engagement to external parties in accordance with firm policies. You can see that we are still coming back to policy. So it's a standard that is scalable. ISQM1 is a standard that is scalable. That is, it depends on the nature and the circumstances around your firm that will determine your own internal policy. It also means that the kind of compliance level which we expect in Big Four environments may not be the same compliance level which we expect in a one-man firm. So all you need to do is to sit down and determine what quality objective can work for you as a firm in each of these 8 components of ISQM1. You will come up with the quality objective and you will stay by it. And it's going to be your Bible. Where spiral binded, where documented, where filed, both a soft and hard copy, that will guide what you do in that firm. So we are going to take each of these components one by one, and I will tell you what exactly you are to do in each of these 8 components. And that's the essence of this class. One of the 8 components is firm risk assessment. Firm risk assessment. Now, This firm risk assessment is very key. It's one of the 8 components that is very key. Firm risk assessment is all about, if I die today as the managing partner, will this firm continue as a going concern? It's a risk. As the managing partner, is all the control building around me? It's a risk. How can we ensure succession planning? Where there is no succession planning, everything around that firm is operating under risk, because the death of the managing partner may lead to the death of that firm. Then you need to come up with policies and procedures as a managing partner, as partners, to ensure that your firm risk assessment process is well balanced. How can we do that? Number one is to establish the quality objective specified by OTSCN 1 and any other additional quality objective considered necessary to achieve the objective of standard of quality management. Identify and assess risk, quality risk, to provide basis for design and implementation of responses. Now, firm risk assessment. How can you design policy, your internal policy, to ensure that you comply with the provision of OTSCN 1 under the firm risk assessment? Number one thing to consider, you need to consider the nature of your firm, the circumstances of your firm, nature and circumstances around your firm. Is your firm a sole practitioner? Is your firm a partnership firm? What are the nature of the client that you are servicing? Which industry are they? Then it is expected that apart from your own internal risk, it is expected that, just like we mentioned in the previous lecture, you need to conduct some levels of risk assessment. You need to assess some levels of risk when you are performing your audit engagement. Now, the question is, how do you, what are the risks? What are the internal risks as a firm? The risk of death of the managing partner, the risk of losing clients. What will you do to mitigate the risk of losing clients as a firm? Firm risk assessment. What will you do? The risk of being hijacked, the risk of your staff being hijacked by maybe the big four. So the risk of your clients saying, sorry, we are moving out from SMP to big four. We are dumping you. So it depends on the way your firm is operating. It depends on nature. It depends on the circumstances. But in any case, we need to come up with risk, the quality objective, the risk factor. And thereafter, you will now come up with how to mitigate both internal risk. The internal risk has to do with the risk of your firm to continue as a going concern. Then the external risk is the risk assessment when it comes to engagement performances. So the both internal and external risk, you need to come up with quality objective. And What is your policy? For instance, is our policy in this firm to ensure that we admit just to ensure succession planning? How can we ensure the succession planning? Number one, we need to admit admission of partners, and that partner must have attained, number one, certain age in the firm. Number two, must have got these numbers of qualification. You bring it in as quality objective. So, and thereafter, you will make it as a policy to the extent that even if you are no longer there, nobody can do anything outside what is the policy of the firm. But most of our firm, we have not actually sat down to come up with quality objective. This quality objective, like I said, when it comes to risk assessment, we are going to break it down into both internal and external risk. I've given an example of internal risk that can make a firm not to continue as a going concern. And I've given an example of external risk when it comes to engagement performances. When we get to the field, our risk assessment process as a firm, this is how we want to perform our risk assessment process. You need to have it as a firm and come up with quality objective, and should be documented. That is that about the firm risk assessment process. Let's go to governance and leadership. Governance and leadership, which is the next item. Governance and leadership as a firm, we're talking of how can we achieve governance and leadership. How can we come up with policies and procedures when it comes to governance and leadership? You establish the following quality objectives need to be established that address firms G&L, which establish the environment that support SQL. Number one, what is the firm's role in servicing public interest by consistently performing quality engagement? Importance of professional ethics and value. Responsibility of all personnel. Importance of quality of the firm's strategic decision and action. Now, when it comes to governance and leadership, you need to come up with policies and procedures that will make your firm to comply with the provision of IS 1 when it comes to governance and leadership. As a leader in a particular firm, what is your own responsibility to ensure that as a partner in that firm, you will break it down and mention that as a partner in a firm, these are the responsibility of the partners to quality, to standard of quality management. What is your responsibility as a leader when it comes to making sure your job, your services is of quality in that firm? That is what we are talking about here under governance and leadership. But you need to break it down and state it in black and white. Do you have any organizational structure in place in your firm? As we speak now, most of the firm, they don't have any structure in place. They resume, they go. They retire, they admit. They hire, they fire. Nothing is on ground. But ISQM 1 is saying that you need to come up with organizational structure within your firm. Break it down, right? Break it down into smaller units to ensure that you have quality, system of quality management in place. What are the resources needed to to achieve quality? For instance, a firm can say that it is our policy in our firm to have minimum of 2 audit trainees on each of the engagements. What is your own policy? Is your own policy to have just 1 audit trainee for each of the engagements, a manager, 1 audit trainee, 1 supervisor, and a manager reporting to a partner? Or is our policy to have minimum of 2 audit trainee, 1 supervisor? We don't even have any manager. We don't need to have manager. That's our policy. The supervisor will be reporting to the engagement partner. What is your policy when it comes to structure and leadership? How you govern your firm? You need to come up with policies and procedures to achieve this governance and leadership. Now, the next component has to do with relevant ethical requirements. What are you expected to do here? We're expected to establish the quality objective that has to do with 1, firm and its personnel, that they actually understand the relevant ethical requirement and fulfill their responsibility. 2, you need to establish a quality objective that speaks to where, if your firm has to do with network of firms, right? Maybe you are into network of firms. You have network in some West Africa, in some African country, even outside Africa. So, ethical requirements. What is your policy when it comes to ethical requirements? You need to document it in black and white. Let me give you an example. Example of quality objective that you need to establish here is that, is it your policy to accept any audit engagement where your wife is the MD or related party is the CFO? What is your own? Is it ethical for you as a firm to get audit engagements where your spouse happens to be the CFO? So, what is your policy? What is your policy? You need to break it down. Is it ethical? Ordinarily, it is not ethical to prepare financial statements, and at the same time, you are still the auditor that express your independent opinion on that financial statement, right? So what we are saying is that, is it our policy to perform, or is it our policy where we have been engaged for accounting services? It's not our policy to accept any audit engagement with that client. So you need to document it. All these things, some of us, we are doing it, but it's not documented. What is your own internal policy that will comply with the quality system of quality management when it comes to relevant ethical requirements? Some firms, they do legal services. They are the company secretary. We have an audit firm. We have instances where one audit firm will serve as company secretary, and at the same time, the same person that signed under company secretary is the same person that signed audited financial statement under opinion page. All this thing is wrong. It's not in line with the best practice. What we are saying now is that, what is your policy when it comes to things like this. Ethical requirements, we have a lot of issues under ethical requirements, but depends on the nature and circumstances around your firm that will enable you to establish quality objective. You now design your own internal policy and you will stay by it, even if after the demise of the managing partner, the firm will continue to go on as a going concern. Next, quality objective. Acceptance and continuance of audit engagements. Acceptance and continuance of client relationship and specific engagement. What is your policy under acceptance and continuance? For instance, come up with your own internal policy. How can you do that? Let me give you an example. A practical example is that it's our policy in Nnamdi Uti & Co, Chartered Accountants, to ensure that most of our recommendation in the last year engagement that we perform is our policy to ensure that all the recommendation has been implemented by our clients. It's your policy. Is it your policy to get 80% implementation of your previous year's recommendation? If that is your policy, you document it in black and white. Is it your policy not to accept any audit engagement in alcoholic sector? A client that is manufacturing alcoholic beverages, is it your policy not to accept any audit engagement in that sector? You state it. Is it your policy not to work with any of the NGOs? You state it. Or is it your policy to accept any audit engagement irrespective of their sector, irrespective of the nature of their businesses? You state it. All these things is a matter of sitting down and document it in black and white. Acceptance and continuance of audit engagement. Before you accept it, what are your policy? And before you even continue, what are your policy? You document them in black and white. By establishing a quality objective, you drive it, and that will guide you either to accept or to continue any client relationship. Thank you. The next component is under engagement performances. What is your policy and procedure under engagement performances? You document it. For instance, you need to come up with quality objective to ensure that all the engagement teams, they understand and fulfill their responsibility in connection with the engagement. The nature, timing, and extent of direction and supervision of audit engagement, the appropriate professional judgment and skepticism are exercised by the team. Consultation on difficult or contentious matter, differences of opinion are well resolved. Engagement documentation is properly assembled and archived for retention period. What is your policy when it comes to turning out final reports? Is our policy in Afolabi and Co Chartered Accountants, for instance, to ensure that maximum of 7 days after the field work, a draft audit report is ready? Is that your policy? You document it. Is our policy as a firm to ensure we have minimum of 2 personnel on each of the engagements? You document. That means later in the years, if your staff is falling short or your staff numbers are depleting, you can't go on with that engagement because it's against your policy. Once the numbers of staff to be deployed to each specific engagement is falling short, either by 1 or 2, it's your policy not to continue until you have additional support staff. But in this part of the world, we don't do it. The nature and timing of direction, supervision. Is it your policy every day to ensure that the field work is being reviewed by the superior? You document it. In Afolabi and Co. Chartered Accountant, is our policy to ensure that any difficult matter are well addressed before the draft audit report. Is our policy. You document, right? Is our policy in this firm to ensure that where we have differences of opinion, maybe a technical matter emanated during the field work, so, and you are unable to resolve it, then is it our policy to resolve it orally, or is our policy to have it documented for future reference? You document it as your policy. So it's all about establishing your own quality objective, and you stay by it. The next component, resources. Under resources, we have human resources, we have technological resources, we have intellectual, we have other service providers. Now, under human resources, what is your policy when it comes to hiring? You want to hire, you want to do recruitment. Is our policy not to take anybody below certain grade? Most of the firm, we don't have it. And that is why somebody will come today with BSc, another person will come tomorrow with HND, another person will come with top class, another person will come with PhD, and we will hire them as audit training. You can see the importance and the relevance of this ISQM. What is our own policy when it comes to hiring and firing? Is our policy before we fire, before we disengage, to warn that staff like twice or once within a financial year? What is your policy? Or is your policy is to fire, disengage as soon as a kind of wrong attitude was displayed towards work? So what is your policy when it comes to human resources? What is your policy when it comes to promotion and admission of partners? You need to have it documented in black and white, right? So the next, technological and intellectual resources. Some of audit firms, they have policy around their IT resources. What is your own IT? What is your own IT policies? You need to document it in black and white. So resources can be any one of these three. All you need to do is to establish a quality objective around these three and document it in black and white. Depends on the nature of your firm and the circumstances around the firm. So the next component has to do with information and communication. Information and communication in a firm. What is your own policy around information and communication? You need to establish quality objective that has to do with how to identify, how to capture, and how to maintain relevant and reliable information within the firm. For instance, what is your objective when it comes to information sharing, when it comes to communication to clients? Is it your policy that it's only the partner that should be communicating with clients? If that is your policy, document it in black and white. Is it your policy that the engagement leader, the team lead, is to communicate directly to the clients? If that is your policy, right, you document. You document. So, is it your policy that all the information being requested by the client, is it your policy to get sufficient clearance within the firm before you share? If that is your policy, right, you document. So, monitoring and remediation. Monitoring and remediation. This one cut across every other component. That is, from time to time, periodically, you need to review what you have established. What exactly are you doing? For instance, when the institute come around for practice review exercise, and you have policies and procedure in place to comply with the provision of ISQM 1, good of you, excellent firm. The next thing is that what the institute which is, want to see is the compliance. You yourself, you have designed it by yourself. You have sat down and you have said that on this, under acceptance and continuance of client-specific engagement, this is our policy. Institute will now review your policy and see what exactly you are doing in real sense of it. This monitoring and remediation is saying that after you have designed, after you have started to implement your policy around all the 7 pillars component of ISQM 1, this monitoring and remediation is now to a kind of self-assessment. Self-assessment. You assess yourself if your policy is working perfectly, if your policy is being abided by, is your policy is being implemented fully or partially. What are the areas that needed improvements? That is what this monitoring and remediation stand for, so that you can conduct your self-assessment from time to time and remediate where necessary. So that is that about the 8 components of ISQM 1. And we want to check briefly. Okay, I still have like 10 more minutes. So let's talk briefly about application of ISQM to institute regulation. Most of the regulation, one critical aspect of the new institute regulation that has to do with ISQM 1 is the practice review exercise. If you don't implement, if you don't have policy in place to comply with the provision of ISQM 1, hardly can you survive the practice review exercise. definitely there will be cases of non-compliance because you don't have anything in place as a standard to achieve quality service in your firm. So let's talk about scalability and domestication of ISQM1. The scalability of ISQM1 has been embedded in its requirements in many ways. For instance, the nature and circumstances around your firm will determine what is your policy in each of these 8 pillars, in each of these 8 components. The kind of, the level of compliance to ISQM1, which we can see in a Big 4 environment, may not be the same with your own firm. So the ISQM1, the scalability means come up with that policy as it suits you. Come up with a policy as it's so convenient for you. That's just the summary. So it's scalable. So it depends on the nature and the circumstances around your firm. Acceptances and continuances is dependent on what the firm knows it can practically work for them. Can you see it here? For instance, under acceptance and continuance of audit engagement is a function of what you know that can practically work for you. That can practically work for you. So it is not cast on stone. That of compliance quality objective in firm A may be different from firm B. So it is scalable. Another example is that monitoring and remediation may be both internal and external. It can be both applicable to your internal policy of the firm and client's operation, policy on internal operation review, and follow-up on interim audit. For instance, what this point is saying is that monitoring and remediation, your own internal policy, you need to monitor and remediate where necessary. Then your client, when you want to build your policy under monitoring and remediation, make it internal policy under monitoring and remediation, which has to do with your own internal operation, and monitoring and remediation, which has to do with your client. For instance, it's our policy to conduct interim audits before the statutory audit. If that is your policy, state it in black and white and mention the exact period. Right from the time you are signing audit engagement with your client, let them be aware that is your policy. Okay? So it's scalable and it depends on the nature and circumstances around your firm. Now, what are the example of how you can practically implement this ISQM1 in your firm? How can you practically implement it? Number one, the firm may take a phased approach to implementation. A phased approach. That is, you can just pick one of the policies for this, 2 out of 8. Pick 1 or 2 for this year. Or pick 4 for this year. and build your policy around those 4. By next year, pick another 4. So within 2 years of your operation, you can conveniently boast of your ISQN1 policies in your firm. What are the way, how else can you practically implement? Number 2, the International Audit and Assurance Standard Board, they have a video which they have released, and you can get it on internet, on practical way to implement ISQN1 in your firm. Then paragraph A50 of ISQN1 include an example of a response that can operate at a firm for engagement level. That is, when you establish a quality objective, a kind of checklist, you need to have opinion. You need to have opinion of people, and you need to gather some responses if actually this thing can work. So then there is what we call implementation guidelines. It's on the internet for first timers. There is ISQN1 implementation guideline, which you can also go through so as to guide you on how to go about it. What are the possible challenges? A lot of challenges around ISQN1. People are finding it difficult to implement ISQN1 based on experiences and our field engagement. When we go for practice review exercise, they will tell us that, do I need ISQN1? After all, I'm a one-man show. You are a one-man show, that doesn't mean you should not have ISQN1 policies. When you are a one-man show, that doesn't mean you should not have, in fact, one-man show is not even advisable. One-man show is not advisable. When you want to run a high quality standard audit firm, you can't be one and on and on. You can't see your own mistake. Who will review you? Who will review you? Who will do the field work? Who will do the finding? Who will do other operational aspect of the engagement? When you are the one doing everything, how can you do a quality job? Some will say cost. They will mention cost. So, and another challenge is the human resources. Most of our staff, as soon as we train them, they will go to Big Four. As soon as we train them, when it comes to us getting the returns of our training, they will travel. They will leave Nigeria. We are aware of all these things, but what are the way out? One, you need to collaborate. Don't do it alone. Collaborate with another firm that has the skill and competencies, and come up with, rub minds together and come up with your individual ISQN1 policies and procedures. Then number 2, way out, do phased implementation, dated implementation guidelines. You need to come up with implementation roadmap, implementation guidelines that 2026, we are going to focus on 4 of the four of the components. Then by next year, we are going to do the rest. But if you don't start from somewhere, you may not move. Then weigh out regular training and seek guidance from the institute where necessary. So on that note, I want to thank the moderator for giving us this opportunity to discuss the practical implementation aspect of ISQN1. Thank you so much, madam. You have the floor, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much, sir, Mr. Adetoyeshe. You've done a fantastic work on both papers on ISQN. During your conversation, we have just one question that has dropped. If you have any questions, please put it on the you would appreciate. The question goes to us. How can we get standards, both accounting and audit, to buy? Is there any way they can buy such booklets?
Okay. You don't need to buy. Just go to the website of International Audit and Assurance Standard Board, the ISQN1 as a document is already there. You can download, spearabide, and make use of it. Thank you.
Okay, that's the only question I can see for now. Maybe before the end of the second paper, if you're still there, we'll be able to attend to it. Thank you so much for your paper on the professional practice monitoring and compliance in the ICANN's new regulatory regime. And the second paper you just finished on the practical approach to the implementation of international standards on quality management, ISQN1, by small and medium practice firms. I appreciate you, Mr. Adetoyeshe, for your time. In order not to waste time, let's go to the second paper immediately by Mrs. Anifyong Israel, ACTI, on time management as professional accountants. Mrs. Israel, I can see you are there. Are you a host? Secretariat, please make her a host. So she can share.
Sorry, what's the name, please?
Anifyong Israel.
Okay.
Anifyong. Okay, I'm trying to share my slide.
Sure.
Good afternoon.
Please, can
No, we
you
can't
see
see
my
your
slide?
screen yet. No,
It's
I think
coming.
it's coming up. Okay, please put it on presentation mode. Thank you. We have 30 minutes or less for your presentation. Please kindly drop your questions if you have on any of the three papers.
Okay.
And you refer the paper you're asking questions.
Can you see it now?
Yes, please. Please put it on presentation mode. That button.
Can you see my screen? Yes, I have.
Okay,
Is
yes,
it
we can see
showing
your
there?
screen. Yes, it's now on presentation mode. Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, my dear professional colleagues. Good afternoon, everyone on this call. First, I would like to thank Dr. Onye and his team for organizing this webinar and for giving me the opportunity to be the one to anchor this session. I want to also thank our first facilitator for that insightful session. It has, especially for some of us in practice, it has reminded us of what we need to do in order for us to stay compliant. Thank you very much, sir. So, soft skill is one of that essential skill that we professional has to develop in order for us to be successful in our professional career. So today we'll be looking at the topic time management, prioritizing and organizing tasks effectively. So the goal of this session is to provide us with practical insights on how to better manage our workflow, use our time effectively, and be more productive. This session is a practical session. It cuts across everybody, irrespective of your role, irrespective of whether you're in practice or you're working for an organization. And since we'll be talking about time management, we are really going to stay strictly to the time allocated to us. So I would like to start by saying that there is this one valuable resources that God has given to everyone equally. And this resource, you cannot stop it. It keeps flying. Something you can store to be used later. It's not something you can borrow from your colleague. It's not something you can recover once it. So what is this resource? That is time. So since every one of us has it equally, for us professional accountants that work in a very high demanding environment, we need to develop a skill to manage these resources. In our business environment, it's characterized by tight reporting deadline, strict regulatory responsibilities, just like the one we've had today, multiple stakeholders demand, high volume financial data. How do we now manage this time to be productive? Sometimes you find yourself being very busy all throughout the day. But when you sit back to reflect, you discover that you did not achieve anything for that day, or you achieved so little. So in this session, we are going to address why we get busy but not achieving much, and we'll also look at the practical insights on what we need to do in order for us to be productive. So let's take a close look at what time management is all about. So time management is the process of planning, organizing, and controlling how time is spent in order for us to achieve our goals. You know, we used to be very busy. Time management is not about just being busy. Time management is about being smart. So time management will help us to get the right work done at the right time. But there are two critical elements of time management which we professionals need to be aware of and apply it in our daily lives. These are prioritizing of our tasks and how we organize our tasks. The first facilitator talks about something like your workflow. Some of us don't have a structure. And at the end of it, you see that we just end up wasting time without achieving anything. So combining prioritization and organization of tasks together, it will help us to deliver more important results. So let's look at what prioritization is all about and organization of tasks. Prioritization is focusing on value. It has to do with ranking of our tasks strictly by importance and urgency. You know that it's not every task that deserves your urgent attention. So how do you identify these tasks? Prioritization ensures that the most critical activities are completed first without wasting time on those low-value activities that at the end of it will not see results. While organization of tasks focus on structuring your workflow, your operational system. So it is a simply systematic arrangement of tasks in order for us to be efficient. It has to do with planning, it has to do with scheduling, it has to do with allocating your available time to your activities. So if you combine these two, just like I said before, it will guarantee us a high quality delivery. There is this model that was developed by the former US president, the 34th president, who was known for his outstanding performance, outstanding productivity. So people often go to him, say, considering your busy schedule, how do you manage all this? So he came up with a model, and this model has been used by professionals, and it has helped them to be successful in their career by managing their time effectively. So this model was named after him, Eisenhower's priority matrix. So this matrix group our activities into 4 categories. It grouped the first one. It grouped them based on their urgency and their importance. And it also states what we should do to those activities. So the first quadrant is talking about activities that are important and they are urgent. The model states that those activities required our immediate attention. These are activities that when you look at them, you analyze the consequences of not doing them. For example, in our business environment, we who are accountants, wherever you are, whether you're in organization, whether you're in practice, we know that if you don't file your tax at a particular date, it will attract penalty. So these activities will fall into this category. So you have to do them immediately. You don't have to refer, you don't have to keep them, you have to do them. Audit deadlines. You're supposed to provide an audited report for your client, maybe to present it to the board for decision making. And if you fail, you see the consequences on your client. So these kind of activities don't need to wait. They have to be attended to immediately. We have another category, the second one, which are those activities that are important, but not urgent. They are very important, but they are not urgent. So these activities are those activities that will give long-term success of maybe the organization you're working with. It's something that you will need to take time to plan about it. It's not something you can just rush in. It's something that will require your technical know-how. And it's something that will also take time. So the model says these activities can be planned or rescheduled to another day. We can look at such activity like strategic planning, maybe setting up of accounting system, and so on. Professional category talks about activities that are urgent, but they are not important. They are urgent, but they are not important. Hello?
Yes,
can you hear me?
Hear you, please.
Okay.
Yes.
So these activities, the model said that this kind of activity can be delegated. The activities that don't really require your expertise, the activities that are so voluminous, they can take so much time. So what you know is that anybody can do this activity in your team. So you can delegate these activities to your junior staff. Example of such activity can be maybe posting, that's data entry. We know there are some organizations, they have so much. So if you're the CFO, you won't want to kind of waste your time because you have other strategic activities that you should attend to. So the model says this activity should be delegated. Then the last one are the activities in category 4, which are activities that are not important and they are also not urgent, but they can consume your time without adding any value to your results. So what are you supposed to do? The model says this activity should be eliminated immediately. Example, excessive social media, unnecessary meetings, and other low-value activities. So I believe that as professionals, if we apply this model, we will be able to identify and classify our activities to be more productive. So let's look at the benefits of time management. Before then, we would like to look at the consequences of poor time management If you don't manage your time well, what will happen? You will miss deadlines. Imagine that you are supposed to submit a report, and this report is very important for decision making, and you cannot meet up. It will lead to acute workplace stress. You know, sometimes you just see yourself being so stressed out. But when you look back, you discover that you didn't do anything because probably you have touched this one, touched this one, touched this one. You didn't complete anything. It will also lead to error in your financial reports and repeated corrections. The first facilitator talks about complying with our ethical value, complying with regulatory requirements. You see some work, you will now wonder, were they actually done by professionals? Because of the rush in it, they just want to rush and meet up deadline, and they will now present low quality work. It's because they didn't manage their time well. They didn't allocate proper time on when they should do review of their report before signing it. Another consequence of poor time management is it will lead to reduced professional credibility and damaged reputation. For us in practice, imagine sending a wrong report to your client, it will damage your reputation. So now let's proceed to see the benefits of effective time management. When you manage your time effectively, it will lead to higher productivity and it will improve your work quality. You'll be able to deliver quality work. You will look at your work and say, oh, have I done this? Have I complied with their regulatory requirements? Have I complied with the company's policy? You will look at it. You will even review the work again. It will lead to better decision making and reduce pressure on you. It will also increase your professional reliability. Clients will rely on you. In fact, if you're in practice, it will lead to more referrals because one client will keep on referring, oh, this person was the one, is just so good on what he's doing. But when you don't manage your time well, you will just see that you will just be dancing from here to here without achieving any benefit. It will also help us in strategic decision, allowing us to know those activities that are low value, to be able to delegate, while we shift our focus to those high strategic work, and it will secure us a healthy work balance. You know, accountants, we are known that for our busy nature, in the morning we are out, we come back, some of us, we don't even have time for our family. So, you see, if we are managing our time well, it will help us to have a healthy work balance. So let's look at the practical tips that we professionals should adopt in order for us to manage our time effectively. One is to plan in advance. Don't just wake up in the morning and you've not even set a goal for that day. You just pick whatever comes my way, I will do. You will see that it's either you will be missing deadline, you will not achieve anything that day. So time management is very, very important for you to plan your activity ahead of time. Number two, schedule. Don't just list. I would like to emphasize on this point because it's what we have been doing. Or those that even want to list will say, okay, today I will review reports for client A. Those working in an organization, I'm going to prepare that management report. I'm going to do that bank reconciliation. We just list without allocating appropriate time to these activities. You will see that at the end of the day, you will not be able to achieve all of them. You may end up spending so much time on the one that is low value, the one that will not even contribute anything. So this point is very important. Don't just list, but allocate specific time block to ensure that your activity receive a dedicated time. The third one is leverage on your peak hours. Some of us, we don't even know when is our peak productive hour. So let us understand when we are very productive. All of us, we have our peak productive hour. Some can be in the morning, some people can be after lunch, some can be towards evening. You will see that the little you do during this hour, you are going to achieve so much. So leverage on this hour and perform high priority tasks during this peak productive window. Those strategic tasks, those allocate them to this your peak hour and you will see results. Number 4 is to conduct a daily review. You don't just allocate time and you keep quiet at the end of the day. You have to review what you do. Those ones that you not. What was the reason for not being able to achieve them, and to see how you can improve. Please, Paula, please mute your mic. Sorry for that interruption. We were at point 4, conducting a daily review. So as I said earlier, that you don't just allocate time to your tasks. At the end of the day, you have to review what you did. Okay, I was supposed to do this one. Yes, I have successfully achieved this one. I was supposed to do this one. I couldn't do this one because of this and this. Okay, so how can I improve? What can I do so that next time I will not face this challenge? That is what you need to do. Then the 5th one is learn to say no. You know, when the first facilitator was talking, my mind came here that some of us, we will just be receiving work from our clients without considering, do we have the competency? Can we deliver this work within the time frame that the clients will require? Because we just want to be in business. An organization working the CFO, you know that everybody will easily disburse the money, but it's not every activity that requires your focus. So you have to protect your time by saying no politely. That, oh, yes, I think that this is very important, but I'm very sorry, I'm occupied that time. Can we do it by so time? So this will help us to manage our time effectively. And while you're doing this, please don't forget that multitasking and procrastination should also be avoided. Okay, so let's look at another principle that can help us in managing our time effectively. There are 2 principles here. The first one is Pareto principle, while the second one is Parkinson's law. So Pareto principle, like I mentioned earlier, there are some activities you do during your peak hour and you achieve so much results. So this principle states that 80% of our results comes from the 20% effort of this activity we did during this peak period. So if you can only do 20% of this activity, you will see that you even achieve 80% of your results for that day. So the principle says we should focus on those high impact tasks. I was just using this as an example. It can be financial statement preparation. You know which one is your high value activity. It can be key reconciliation. It can be audit finding. It can be tax filing. Why the Parkinson's law state that if you don't allocate a time to your activity, that activity will extend to cover the whole day. And this happens to a lot of us. You say that, okay, oh, this thing, I'm going to do it tomorrow, but you didn't allocate a specific time. Is it going to be 2 hours? It's actually something you would have completed within 2 hours. But because you didn't allocate a time for it, you see yourself doing it for a whole day. Sometimes you finish it and you review again and start it all over. But if you have allocated time, you will be able to focus. You will set a goal and say, this is what I aim to achieve by doing this activity, and that will help you. So this principle just states that you must allocate time, because if you don't allocate time, that a particular task will occupy the whole time and will not shift your attention from those high priority tasks that you're supposed to perform. So the synergy here is that Pareto principle will help you to identify those tasks that are urgent, that are important, those ones that need your immediate attention, while Parkinson's law will help you to know how long to allocate to a particular task. Okay, let's also look at some tools that we can use to manage our time effectively. I said this is a practical session. I'm talking about time management, so we will adhere strictly to the time. There are so many tools that we can use that will help us to manage our time effectively. There are methods like time blocking, which you can use to allocate specific time to your activities, so that once that time is up, it will signal you, oh, you're supposed to, this is the time for this, and it will help you. Another one, you can use people, you can delegate, just like we explained earlier. Look at those low value activities and delegate them so that you'll be able to focus on the one that will bring results. You can leverage on technology. We're in the world of technology now. Imagine those people with high volume financial data. If you want to sit down to do them manually, something you would have finished within 2 hours, you can use a week without even getting results. So that's the reason we should leverage on this technology. Our accounting software are there, so many of them. We can use Excel for the meeting, scheduling of meeting. We can use Calendly, we can use Slack for time communication. We can use Xerox Practice. There are so many, I just listed few here. We can use our digital calendar. That's our Google Calendar for reminders. You know, sometimes you actually have something to do, but you forget. So I believe that if we use these tools, we will be able to manage our time effectively and be successful as professionals. Before we conclude, there are some common time wasters that really used to take our time. But at the end of it, we will just concentrate doing those things, and they don't add any value to our life. They don't help us to succeed. They don't help us to be productive. So we are going to identify those common time wasters and discuss how to eliminate them. You can see unplanned interruption. Unplanned interruption, some of us in the office, some people will just come in, you sit down, you start gisting, something that, meanwhile you have a lot of things to do. Instead for you to politely tell them, with time, they will know that between this period to this period, I cannot visit this person because the person will be busy. But when they come, you give them the attention, and it will not shift your attention from what you're supposed to do to just discussion that does not have any value. Unnecessary calls. This one will call, this one will call. Set a limit. Let people know that during this period, you will not be picking calls. During this period, you will not attend to their calls. You can use time blocking to create untouchable focus period. By that period, there are a lot of things. There is this time app. They call it block app on Play Store, Google Store, which for some of us, you can use it to block those social media that can, distract you. Disorganized workflow and poor prioritization. If you don't set up your workflow, if you don't organize them, if you don't set up your system by having your policies, by looking at the regulatory requirement and know that, okay, this is the next step, this is what I'm supposed to do. In preparation of my report, this is what I should look out to. You will not be able to achieve results. These are just time wasters. So please set clear priorities and maintain organized work system. Excessive prolonged meeting. This one is very common. We'll set time for a meeting for 1 hour. We end up using 5 hours for the work. The additional 4 hours supposed to be used for something, so we'll lose it for that day. We cannot achieve those other things. So let's schedule our meeting efficiently with strict agendas and with time limits. Instant email responses and social media distraction. This email, there are some of us, especially those occupying the office of maybe head of department and CFOs. By the time they open their mails, you see the number of mails. If you're finding yourself in this situation, to do, because if you want to respond to those mails as they come, it will definitely take your whole day, is to allocate a particular time. You can sit down, review your mail, and respond to them. Not as they are coming, you're opening, you're responding, it will distract you. And social media distraction, that one is very common now. For example, now, if you're just sitting down, you see a notification that says, oh, fuel has been increased to 2,000. You will use the remaining 30 minutes to complain about the country. As you're complaining, that 30 minutes would have been time you would have used for something. So what you do is that you have a specific time to look at all your social media. Not like you just leave it open like that. The notifications keep coming, especially when you have those strategic activities to work on. It will help you focus. Procrastination. This is one of those time wasters. So let us learn how to eliminate this. I believe that by the time we are leaving this place, we'll be able to identify some of these time wasters and eliminate them and be more productive. So in conclusion, I would like to say that our time is like our bank account. God has given every one of us the same 24 hours in a day. Like I said in the beginning, that this time is a resources that you cannot recover once it is spent. So every of your daily activity represents a permanent withdrawal from this your 24 hours. Let me set a scenario. It's like you have been given a 24 hours bank account, and every withdrawal you're making, you're free to make whatever withdrawal you can make. Let's say some people will go and withdraw hundreds of thousands, some will go and withdraw billions, some will go and withdraw trillions. So how you manage this time depends on you. Knowing that you cannot go and borrow this time, you cannot store it for future use, but you are the pilot. So those things that will distract you from managing this time effectively, you have to identify them. Apply those principles and those models we have discussed, and manage your time well. Research has shown that successful professionals are those professionals who prioritize, who organize, who delegate, and those who leverage on technology to protect their time. In summary, remember that only your technical know-how will not help you to be successful. So you need this soft skill, especially how you manage the available time that you have. So let us look at the activities, how we can prioritize them, how we should organize them, those ones we need to eliminate, those ones we should delegate, those ones that we should reschedule and attend to it, and apply the technologies that we have in order to make us be effective. And I believe if we do all these things as professionals, it will help us to be productive and be successful in our career and in our individual life. Thank you for listening. Please, if you have questions, put it down, or you can raise your hand and ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Israel, for that wonderful webinar section on time management. It's a very important topic, especially as professional accountants, where we have a lot of things to do at the same time. Please, if you have questions, please put it down on the chat box. We have a question here for the first speaker. Mr. Adetoyeshe, you are still here, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. The question is, kindly speak to this situation. In this part of the country we are, some of the organizations don't keep records, but the financial statements need to be prepared and audited. As auditors, what do we do?
Okay. Of course, let's just be practical and be factual. For the first time you are having such engagement with them, you need to, there is nothing you can do. You will still find a way of getting the audit job done. But moving forward, there was a firm that we reviewed. And when we identify something like that, the man said, those are our incomplete record clients. So they identified them as incomplete record clients. But the question now is, if you find yourself in that situation for the first time, or you don't want to push them away, you want to retain them as your clients. So the next audit year, before the next audit is due, you have responsibility to advise them that, sorry, it's either you second one of your staff. You need to have a meeting with them and say, okay, which one can we do? Are you comfortable for us to do accounting service for you? Or you are comfortable for us to retain us as a statutory auditor? And you as a firm owner, you need to also sit down and check which one will fetch you more revenue. Is it the accounting service that will fetch you more revenue, or the statutory audit engagement that will fetch you more revenue? Pick one that will fetch you more revenue and advise your client to engage. If your client is more comfortable, for instance, to retain you as a statutory auditor, you can second one of your staff to be helping them to prepare, to keep their daily record, and maybe on quarterly basis to generate financial statement for them, because they don't have the capacity, they don't have the record. In fact, they don't want to have resident accountants. So it's happening. But you should not be the one as a managing partner that will prepare the financial statement and still express independent opinion. Why they don't have record is that they don't have the capacity. They don't want to employ a resident accountant with them. They don't want to pay salary. Yes, it's happening in practice, but advise them. So to allow one of your staff, one of your trainee to be doing some accounting services with them independently, maybe on quarterly basis, you will be helping them to generate those reports and keep. So when the firm comes around to do the statutory audit, you will have record on ground to work with. And that situation that happened last year will not repeat itself in subsequent year. That is how to go about, practical approach to go about this type of scenario. Thank you, madam.
All right, thank you for that answer. If someone just asked a question, please, I need clarification on the number of PIE clients an audit firm can have to qualify for review by FRC. I think you mentioned that. Thank you.
So going by the audit regulation, if you have clients who are public interest entity, 20 and above, you are qualified to be reviewed by FRC. So that is it.
Right, thank you for the answer. Does anybody have any question you want to speak out? You want to give it verbally, please unmute and speak. Okay, there's another question here. How long does it take to renew a practicing license if a firm meets all the institute's requirements, and if it didn't meet some or all, what would be the next steps? So there are two questions.
So the minimum turnaround time for the renewal of practice license, as we speak now, is 3 weeks. So, however, we are working on how to digitalize the entire process to ensure that renewal doesn't take more than a week, maximum of 7 working days. And if you meet up with the requirement partially, that means though the system has been configured or automated to ensure that you meet up before you even submit. So as at now, if you don't have the required MCPD, if you are not financially up to date, if you have not registered your firm on the Institute web portal, your renewal will not be successfully submitted. You can't even proceed. It will flag it. So you must meet up before you submit. In few instances, we experience a situation where even despite you meet up with all this, we still check your record and discover that you have not paid for the renewal fee of previous years. So the next thing we are going to do is to send you an email, guide you on how to make payments, send us evidence of payment, then we process your renewal further. Thank you, madam.
All right, thank you for that answer. There's a question for Mrs. Israel. Delegation is good, but most of the youth or the younger ones cannot work without supervision. How do you manage time in the above scenario whereby you have to delegate, but they cannot work without supervision? How do you manage such a time? Please, are you there? The second speaker, Mrs. Israel, are you there? Please, are you there? Okay, let me answer the question. I don't know if she's there. For such a situation whereby you just have to delegate, it means you have to do close monitoring. So as you are doing your own tax, you are close monitoring. It's called close monitoring. You close monitor them every 10 minutes, 20 minutes to put them in check. And if it's extreme case, you can tell them to keep their phones away. Just close monitor them and you get results, because there's no way you can do everything by yourself. That's just the truth. Delegation is required, but just ensure you do some close monitoring. Thank you. Mr. Detoyeshe, how long can one get new license after interview?
New license after interview, that means in terms of turnaround time, we are looking at maximum of 2 months because of other processes that are involved. Because after the interview, you need to, the result of the interview need to go to the council, first of all to the subcommittee on practice license. After subcommittee on practice license, is go for consideration and approval of main committee on professional practice. And thereafter, it will go for council for approval. Then thereafter, a letter will be issued approval letter will be issued. And with that approval letter, you can sign audited financial statements, you can establish a firm, you can begin to practice as a chartered accountant. It's as good as license. The reason why license certificate may be taking time is because of the mandatory orientation program. You have to come around for orientation program. Under the orientation program, you'll be told, you'll be exposed to do's and don'ts of profession, what you need to do with license, what you ought not to do with the license. It's a day event, and it is on that day that the license certificate will be handed over to you by the Mr. President. So it's an event, it's a kind of induction. But between when council approve and when induction takes place, you can be practicing substantively with approval letter, which will be signed by the registrar, chief executive of the institute. So average of like 2 months after interview, a month after interview, you should be able to get your approval letter approved by the council. You can practice with that. Then another 1 month or two, because of the event orientation program, the president needs to be in attendance and some other council members. And these are the people you need to book in advance because of other activities within their calendar. So they must be available. So you can practice with approval letter a month after assessment of practical experience, which that person call interview. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. And another question, are there recommendations by ICANN for staff strength in a practicing firm, small or large, for different engagements? There are any ways you stated the staff strength by engagement?
All right.
Please, are you there?
Okay, like I mentioned in my previous, in my presentation, ISQN 1 is scalable. You, the managing partner, the engagement partner, you are the one to determine what exactly policy that will work for you. The institute has no specific standard, but it is advisable that you have at least a team lead and an audit trainee, and their responsibility will be divided, and both of them will be reporting to the engagement partner. That is the minimum standard expected of any audit firm. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that response. Somebody has a question. He said, thanks, Mr. Falade. I have submitted my application for renewal since early February. That's Joseph Adebayo, with acknowledgement from you. But up till now, no approval yet. How do I go about change of my firm's name?
Okay, though my name is Fadele anyway. For application to have come since February, it should be among the one awaiting council approval. But maybe after this meeting, you can reach out to One Team Social Club. They will send your details to me. I can check the status of your license, at what level exactly it is now. Maybe it's among the one awaiting council approval, or is among the one awaiting signature, or is among the one awaiting committee approval. So let's reach out after this meeting through the organizer, and we can provide the status of your application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that response, Mr. Fadele. Please, Mr. Fadele, the issue of turnaround time for renewal of practicing license has been a concern to those of us in practice. Oftentimes, the process it has to go through the committee, council approval, then the printing period and communication with the practitioner. Sometimes it takes more than 6 months. something has to be done about this process, please. I know you are quite familiar with this.
All right. We are actually, for now, we don't have anyone that has spent 6 months in our custody. So, yes, yeah, I acknowledge the fact that there are some delays that has to do with committee meetings because they don't meet every day. Especially council approval, they meet once in a month. But for committee system, we don't have a specific time for approval. Once we have a certain threshold, let's say minimum of 20 applications, we forward it to the committee, they approve virtually. In fact, approval of the committee is on every week. We are getting approval of the committee. So, but if a week is for approval, a week, another week to get the stuff, to get approval, to sign. The third week, you will get notification that your license is ready. And that was why I said, for now, between this is March, in the last 3-4 months, we don't have that delay, a kind of experience, a kind of delay in any of our processes. I think it's better than before now. But if you have anybody within us here, you've applied since last year, not even January, last year, please, definitely something is happening. We need to get to the root of it. You can reach out through OTSCN after this meeting and send us your detail. We can give you the status of your license. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Somebody asks, can one get Scrum certificates before practicing or without it? Is it compulsory to have Scrum certificates to practice?
Sorry, I didn't have that. I didn't get that question, ma'am.
Must one get Scrum certificates to practice from EFCC? The certificate from EFCC.
Once you have your license to practice as a chartered accountant, in fact, at the point of registration with CAC, once you have the CAC registration, the next thing is to process your SCUMO, because bank will not register your audit firm if you don't have SCUMO. That is the way it works. So SCUMO, it depends. If you want to open bank accounts, SCUMO is required. But if you don't want to open bank accounts, you can as well get your license first, set up in practice. At the point of opening bank account, definitely the SCUMO certificate will be required. So it depends on when you actually want to get. So if you want to get your bank registered before you get license, or you want to get bank account opened after you get your license. But the SCUMO certificate is tied down to opening of bank account. It has nothing to do with the license. You can process your license even without SCUMO. And that is how it works. So thank you.
All right. There are no other questions. Does anybody have any other question want to speak? You are free to unmute now so that you could ask your question, so that we can call it a day.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am. God bless you. I just want to make a suggestion, not actually a question, for Mr. Fadele. Thank you, Mr. Fadele, for doing a very, very good job. I've been impacted. But the issue of renewal, I'm just suggesting, since it has been approved before at the beginning that you are licensed by the council, renewal, should we, when committee have gone through, should we again wait for, should there be need for the council again to approve? That's what I'm trying to say. If it has been initially approved, only renewal, if the committee has looked at it, particularly the department, they are too thorough to me. If the department pass it to committee approve it, since it has been originally or initially approved by the council, should council again still need to approve that before the renewal takes place? That's just my opinion.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Joseph Adebayo. The approval we are talking about at the renewal stage is the approval to go ahead and sign the license, not the approval of license itself. The council still need to. What do I mean by council in this context? The president, the vice president, the president is the chairman of the governing council. So the chairman and the president and the registrar, three of them must still approve that go ahead and sign this signature. We don't sign by hand. We sign by ghostwriter, and three signature must be represented on the face of the license. So you need to get their approval. And but for them to approve that, okay, go ahead and sign this license. You need to demonstrate, you need to file some document with them that this person has been approved by the committee. We only send this thing to you by way of for council information. But to sign that license, to use their signature to sign that license, they still need to give you approval. So the approval we are talking about for renewal is for the signature aspect and not for, the entire council approving renewal. Council only approve or give approval for fresh license, while renewal is for council information. But for you to sign, those principal officers, office flag bearers, they still need to approve that. Go ahead and use my signature to sign all this set of licenses in this batch. And there are some documents you need to file with them before they can give you approval. So, but we are working on digitalizing the entire process. So some of the stages might be skipped, and that will collapse the turnaround time to like 7 days based on the project we are working on now, which will be deployed within the year. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, Ikechukwu Osego, please, you can unmute and speak.
Okay, thank you, Vaughn. Good evening, all. Thank you, Mr. Fayose, for the papers delivered. I want to talk on a few things. One of them is the issue of you raised when you were presenting, when you said that many of our members are not aware of ISQM, which is not really surprising, but it's surprising to me because it has taken a long time. I thought that by now, many of them would have been aware of it. What I would suggest is that the institute may have to do a free seminar on this ISQC1, ISQ one, SQM, yes. So that, and then even ISAS, International Standard on Auditing, because I remember some years ago when the monitoring was taking place, we went into a firm, and when we mentioned the then Nigerian Standard on Auditing, that was before ICANN decided to adapt to International Standard on Auditing. Both the managing partner and the audit staff were just looking at us. They didn't seem to understand what we were talking about. And this was a firm in VI. Until we now looked around and saw a copy of it on their shelf. So all of them started looking at themselves. So the point is that a lot of the small firms are not still aware, or even if they are aware, they're not making use of ISAS and ISQs. So I would suggest that regular training be done on that. And then I also suggest that this presentation you made on International Standard on Quality Management, both the slide and the recording, if any, should be sent to members. Because, in the course of the explanation, there are certain things you mentioned that may not be on the slide, which will help the partners of firms to be able to develop their own policy. And then finally, on the issue of fees charged by members, it is unfortunate that our members are shortchanging themselves. I don't know why accountants seem to be afraid of making money. If you go to a barber or a vulcanizer, they have their standards and they will not go down. How can a firm or a managing partner charge even 100,000, 50,000? Is it the time you spend there? Is it the stationery? Is it what? And not to talk of the people that assist you in doing the work. So I think our members should really do something about undercutting themselves, because it is not in their own interest. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ikechukwu. Professor Lukman, please. Can ask your question. Ikechukwu, please, you can put down your hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor. Appreciation to the organizer of this program. We really appreciate you. My own is more or less introduction on this issue of practicing or not practicing. I want to make a specific example. My wife is a nurse, and when they pass their exam, their license is mandatory to get, whether they open their shop or they are working in a place. I think by rights, if I've wrote an exam and I have passed, I should be entitled to my license. Whether I practice with it or I not practice with it should not be a major concern. And if we actually have a monetary department that is good at their work, if we feel that those people that are practicing on part-time are the problem, there no way we can track them. We have people that are practicing on full-time are charging 5,000, like you just said now, sir. So I think a lot of things need to be done, not to be seen as we excluding substantial number of our members from practice. Because in the long run, we are delimiting ourselves. The institute should look holistically at this process, whether that line is the final aspect or there is a way we can accommodate most of these things that we are talking about. At the end of the day, there are a lot of other ways that people can follow if they want to practice without necessarily asking for a camp practice license, and they are still practicing. Are we not limiting ourselves when we insist on this way? So, on the actual reason why we feel that, yes, we should exclude that population from practice. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Professor Lukman. Any other question? In the absence of none, Mr. Kolawole, please, are you there?
Hello. Hello.
Okay, please, who is speaking?
My name is John Akbala.
Okay, you have a question. Okay.
1990, yeah.
All right, please ask.
Okay, yeah, just so that this unique problem, thank God finally you see here. A firm wants to register with tax office. The name is kidding, or the number, the registration number is kidding, but what you are seeing is a different name. I don't know, it's a mix-up from by the CAC. So that man says, no, this cannot go and sort that with the CAC. And CAC is not responding. And somebody say, okay, if CAC cannot respond and identify it, can't I get another firm name and register with ICANN and put about the old one so you can do business and be tax compliant? It's a unique problem. I know it's a problem that some you can explain here, and not only practitioners. CAC has a sort of mix-up that is affecting people. So what will be the ICANN reaction to that? It's not a change of name, but this name is no longer functioning. This is another name. Can a practitioner get that done without hassles? Well, it's not anybody's fault. I don't know if they issued two numbers to two people. I don't know. Nobody knows what happened. I'm investigating this, but nowhere. We reminder to CSC, nobody is talking. So what can my friend Father say?
Please. Okay.
Hello,
I don't know if Mr. Fadil is still there. So what I'm going to speak to this. Are you there? Okay, good.
Okay.
So
okay, is what around?
He's here.
Please, Mr. Nnamdi, it's more of a CSC related issue. You can go ahead and respond. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. John, I think we have spoken with regards to this, but what I've discovered thus far is that as of today, several companies are yet to be brought up on CSC portals. You know, there's difference between business names, limited liability companies, and IT. IT that's incorporated trustees and other entities. So they are yet to bring up a lot of them. And for example, this week that just passed by, I submitted some that needs to be brought up. They are yet to have the correct channel, but as of last week, that's this week that just passed by, they told me to send it to correctspu@csc.gov.ng, and we've done that. So when you do that, you then follow up with a phone call to CSC help desk. Then they will bring it up. It takes some time. They told me averagely 72 hours. But what I would tell you what I would say is put in mind that it might be more than 72 hours. Thank you.
Ma'am, I'm telling you, this is issue of months. Reminders to IT, SPU,
Yes,
help desk.
yes, I'm aware.
Nobody responding.
There are
So it's not
there are
issue
some
of
that have to do with the codes. For example, the normal BN number comes with BN. They will you not include BN, just the numbers itself. But the ones that have this problem largely have some codes in front of their number before their name, before their number. So it could be something like LAZ something before some numbers. So we have a lot of such. So they are still working on it. And it's when you need to show them copies of the CSC document that you have.
Those things were sent. I think better, let's not digress. Let us see what can be ICANN reaction. This thing is a problem, and this firm name is not going. Can somebody, a practitioner, represent a new name and get going, get registered with ICANN? Is there any hindrance? I mean, it's impossible to retrieve from CSC. The work cannot hang in life now.
Thank you, Mr. John Opala. I mean, so is
Thank
it
you, Father.
Dr. John or Professor John Opala?
You're not professor. I'm not a teacher.
Okay, sir. I think you can consider the option of registering another name afresh so that you can proceed with the procedures with ICANN. Then later,
okay.
if you still prefer that name, you can later revert back to CSC for regularization. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. That's great. Thank you, Brother, and God bless you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Joseph Adebayo, is it the previous hand or you still have a question?
Not even.
Okay. And Mr. Kolawole, please, you can go ahead to appreciate the facilitators. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. And I believe we have gained a lot. That is why the continuous thing. Mr. Fadile Adetoyo has already taken us through the what we to know and what we need to do, which will help our practice get better. I think it's a good one. Thank you, Mr. Fadele, for doing justice to that topic. At the same time, we appreciate Mrs. Well, most of us that are CFO or chartered or chief accountant or head of department, we have a lot to do. I think managing our time is most important if we are going to get results, either within our own practice or we are working for a corporate company. I think it's also a good knowledge. I believe some of us have gained so much from this. Registers, and also we appreciate you for payments and to support. Though it's a token to support, and we expect the next month webinar you will also get through. Thank you very well, and your team. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Kolawole is one of the trustees, Board of Trustees of One Team Social Club. Mr. Prince, please give us a closing prayer so that we can call it a day.
Yeah, shall we pray, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. Father, we thank you for the moment you have granted us to come together to discuss issues that pertain to our professionalism, our practice, and for us to continue to grow as a professional chartered accountant in our firms, in our business areas, and in our focus, and how also to manage our time to be able to get maximum results and continue to swear more strong as professionals in our field of endeavors. Lord, we pray that next time we'll have this opportunity, we'll also be able to gain more insight, the things that will give us a good focus in our businesses, in our areas of endeavors. The facilitators who have used this day to give us this insight, Lord, we pray that you continue to strengthen them. Next time they'll have the power, the zeal, the knowledge to continue to give us this information that will quicken us to know the pace at which we are going to grow. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen.
Thank you. We'll be closing with the national anthem and icon anthem. Thank you all for participating. We truly appreciate. Do well to register for the April edition and the tax reforms related to international tax and to understand international taxation, holding Wednesday, 29th April 2026, 11 a.m. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain. Oh.
Let's go right and found of treasure in triumph of banner raised, standing stronger in harmony, building a land to
didn't attract any.
I think another 5 units.
All right, thank you. I want to enjoy the rest of your day. Right.
Okay.
Please, in case of next time, so that
we can gather units.